Hello everyone, welcome to the Watch Poplars. Today I'm going to be showing you a very old tree. It is a platanus occidentalis. It is a California Sycamore, I believe. I'm thinking of, oh yes, platanus racemosa. That is the California Sycamore. So I will show you that soon. But I want to also show you some other things in this gorge that are important when studying other types of trees. So about 5 feet down the hill, I come across an old dead plum tree. And it is the largest plum tree, dead or alive, that I've ever seen in my life. You can see the snag right there. I'll just drop the leash. Where? I'm gonna throw it by the plum tree. I will not forget it. But this is where it fell off of. You can see right here. There's a little clearing right here among all these canes from the rubus, Rubus armeniacus, I think. But you can see this is a large plum tree. It was very old. You know, maybe it hasn't decayed enough that if I go take a section out of this tree, that I won't be able to count the rings. Hopefully I will if I decide to, but I hate chainsaws and I don't like to use them, so I don't know. But you can see it was growing there. It was a very large plum tree. This bay laurel was probably quite smaller. You know, back in its days, it probably looked like something like this little plum tree. A graceful plum tree in a clearing back in the days when, when this was gravel. And I do remember, I remember being here. I was alive when this was all gravel. Maybe this part of it here was paved, but this pullout right here was gravel. And me and my brother, during the summer, we used to play in it and make dust fireworks and stuff. But this plum tree is grew close to maybe a century-year old. Maybe it was 80, 90 years old. It has the trunk diameter as big around as a basketball. Beja, come here. Good, Beja. Her name means kiss in Portuguese. That's what her name was already when we got her. Beja, sit. So here, you can see it broke into two pieces. This is the trunk, and then the branches were here. This was a very large plum tree, and it's the largest plum tree, dead or alive, that I've seen in my life. So this is a very inspirational tree, even though it's dead. You know, I can picture this trunk upright. It was tall. This trunk, you know, you may have had some branches kind of low down, but those are dead when this was right before this fell over. Now, I don't know when this fell over. There's street view here that dates back to 2007. So I'm going to be searching that street view right here. And I'm going to see if it was standing during that time. You know, in 2007, everything here looked completely different. Trees were smaller, new trees that have now fallen down were standing tall and proud. But here, this is really cool. This is really interesting history, and I am getting more inspired by this tree than by that one, because this one is probably the oldest plum tree I've ever seen in my life. But I'm walloping over one of the trees I want to show you, and I'm taking quite a while, so I want to show you some other things. But this is really interesting. And look at the fungi on it, breaking it down. Like turkey tails or shelf. I don't know. It's a very sketchy slope next to this big tube. You know, hi. Peter, are you good? Don't slip. I don't want to film your demise? Okay, good. So there's this very spindly privet tree. It's very young, and I can count it for you. So, oh, Beta, no, come here. Oh, Beta, Beta, come here. Okay, Beta, stay. She's getting all crazy right now. But here is this. Here is this privet tree. They just sit, so you can see. Now it started out slow, but you can see there's a little stub right here. That's probably when it stopped growing in one of its first years, possibly its second, maybe third. I'm betting on second year. But after that, this privet tree took off. And from here, all the way, I assume, I believe. I'm checking the nodes. Look at these. There's a node right there. Node. There's 2 nodes here. So it stopped growing here. I'm checking if I'm right. I can't tell. I'm going through here. So this was probably year 3. There's a tightening of the nodes here. It's probably stopped growing right here. And then it pushed out a short node here and then took off once again for its 4th year up to here. And then year 5, it grew to here. And let's see. And here. Year 6. It grew to here. Here. And here. Year 7. It sprouted this. Started sprouting more shoots off of it, so it grew to here. Here. And then to there, this little area right in the middle of the screen right there. Here. Here. And yeah, and then year 8. Year 9, it grew to here. You can see there's a slight difference between this year's growth and last year's growth. This is evergreen, as you can see. So then 10th year, it grew to here. And this is the most vigorous lateral branch on this. And it is the branch that has the most leaves, even though that is the apex. Check out this fern. Really, this is very inspirational. I don't know if such beautiful, like, moss would grow with tap water. However, just look at this. This is a natural kusamono. So, an accent plant. You know, you see in like bonsai expos and stuff, you see these, might see an accent plant, and they include all sorts of plants that are not trees, but they are like growing on in like a little cup or something, like on a rock. And this is the ultimate, like, wet climate natural kusamono. You can see this like fern, like moss. You got these sword ferns growing all over the place. At least I think they're sword ferns. And you got English ivy, which even though it doesn't have it doesn't belong here. Oh God. um, it, it thankfully it's not taking over everywhere, but it's probably growing all sorts of aerial roots into this moss. And then you have Rubus armeniacus, I believe, the Armenian blackberry or Himalayan blackberry. Or would that be Rubus nepalensis? I have no idea. But you also have Herb Robert, or it's in the geranium family. You can see, oh, yeah, here you can see the geranium seeds. Here the flowers, a bit spent because it's kind of cold. But yeah, this gives me lots of inspiration for accent plants in the future. This is a lovely rock, and I'll come over here to this rock more often in the future. Looks like you have there's some silica, very microscopic crystals. It's just agate. It's very common here. You've got these little bits of agate in the rock. This can get really nice, and I've found ones with actual quartz crystals in it, like silica formations. That is an interesting rock. I don't collect crystals anymore, but I sure am now interested in rocks that would look good because they are very miniature looking. You can see there's more silica agate formations there, but this is a metamorphic rock. Definitely metamorphic. It has all sorts of like quartz bands and maybe agate seams at feldspar, orthoclase, I believe. Oleo, I don't know what it's called in Latin, but I think that's a keeper. That it's very, very miniature looking. Maybe I can add that to like a glacial landscape. You can, like having it sit like this. That's very nice. Here are the dead stalks of Aurelia californica. It might be a perennial, it might be an annual. I'm not really sure. It looks like these gray ones under this fresh one from this autumn might be from last year. So that makes me think, like you can see there's like a big cluster of them, and usually only one comes up at a time from each clump. Now this is a whole bunch of clumps right here, but now this is a perennial. This is a perennial Aurelia, and then there's a bike helmet right here. I don't know how that got there. You find a lot of stuff in this creek. I don't know what kind of shrooms those are. Beautiful. Now this is the most sketchiest part of this area here because I have to go around. But I believe that I can do it. The dog will just plow through the water, so. Oh, I guess the dog, I went here last time, a little bit in like autumn, but the dog just plowed through the water, got drenched. Oh, I see. This is another great example of a bay laurel old age. Now this hasn't developed so much weight to collapse. Well, you can see here there was a collapse right there, and here there was also one. But these now are the sprouts off of those two old bay laurels, and these are probably different genetically. They have just fused, and now they are sharing nutrients. But you can see the buttress base, the fusion of the roots, and all these bulges right here are from the profuse nature of these to sucker up. You can see that shoot right there from the root base, and it's just like a redwood and fairy rings. They grow in that kind of manner. But you can see they're very, very tall, and they sweep over to the other side of the creek. And this is probably like a century old. This is this is very huge. It's massive. You can see the ivy leaves for scale or something. Now here there was a landslide. I don't know when, but there's the scar. Maybe it was from 2023. There's bits of asphalt here. I'm standing on them. Oh, that's slippery, but yeah. I don't know. It probably wasn't from 2023. It's not. It still looks. It looks quite old. Beja, come here. Someone left a ball of some sort here. So this is very interesting. Bay laurels, and I mean, probably the main target of the video is like right here. I'll show you that. However, there's this tree here, and I need to explain the awesome stuff that it has gone through. Look at that. That is cool. I don't know what mushrooms these are. That's interesting. I love seeing big mushrooms growing out of the wood. Maybe I'll go through the video, look at the frames, swipe up for the information, and then Siri will tell me what they are. So this bay laurel is taking the form of a floating raft. And it started over there. It fell. Oh, it also looks like they cut down, well, or maybe they... I feel like there's just so many trees here that look like they were intentionally pushed over so that they would make room for this house. However, there's a big leaf maple that fell here. A twin trunk big leaf maple. It's bigger than the one up there. I might have shown you that before, but I'm showing you this raft of a bay laurel. It fell here, maybe during winter, during a storm possibly, maybe, I don't know, to make room for the house, but it fell over, and during the following growing season, because it had most of its roots spared, it survived and it sprouted a bunch of shoots, and they're growing 90 degrees in the trunk, and they're going, I mean, maybe someday they'll get so large that they make the tree collapse. But all in all, it'll probably still survive at the base there and keep growing. But here's the top of the tree, and now it is forming a raft as well. You can see there's still remains of the upward branches. You know, if you look at it like this, all the trees kind of, there's the base and it goes up like that. But you can see even the branches, they curved back. Well, this is probably knocked down from the fallen big leaf maple as well. You can see this branch right here, it's all curved down. That is also probably damaged from this big leaf maple falling. But since then, it is sprouting out of that arching branch, and those are also going to form a raft. Now here we are at the focus of today's video. It is an ancient platanus racemosa, and it's probably at least a century-year old. You see, I'll show you the characteristic. Oh, what? Whoa, bitch! Don't. Whoa. It's sticky, and that makes me think that this might be some kind of stinkhorn. Phallus? Maybe? No, it's sticky. It's got this goo on it. And the goo is where the spores are. I can smell it. It smells absolutely disgusting. Oh, it's like very festering sewer or something, but you can see it's very sticky. All their spores are on the top. And I think, in fact, the goo, all this yellow stuff is the spores. It's a mound of spores on it. It has no gills. Now, I don't know what this shredded stem is, but it is really cool. And I think phallus grows in duff. Tree duff. And here you have sycamore duff from this tree. It's still in its peak fall colors. And it's been so maybe since the beginning of the month. But that is very interesting. And I'll check after, when I rewatch the video, I'll see what kind of mushroom this is. This is very cool. So right now I'm thinking this could be phallus. I don't know what kind of stinkhorn it is, but phallus is stinkhorn in Latin. So here we are at the ancient sycamore. Now you can see the lower, 1/5 of it shows that it is ancient. From here down is the bark that a sycamore gets when it is ancient. That is how you can tell that you have achieved an ancient status. But also, recently this year in September, probably mid-September, based on every time my dog walks and just my awareness of when I'm looking around, I walk all the way up here, pretty much every time I walk the dog, unless it's raining and or dark. But there was a car, and it, I don't know how, but it drove off the road, which really doesn't offer any opportunity to speed. So I don't know how. Must have been really, really tipsy, that driver, drunk, or I don't know what. But it's just so absurd what you find downstream, because the car actually drove down here, or maybe, I don't think it drove down here. It rolled or something, based on how scuffed up this scar here is. And it I don't know, maybe if it rolled, it landed back on its wheels and just kept driving there, downstream. And there's a tire over there. Way in the distance, there is a tire. I have no idea how, but maybe we'll see where all this damage of this car barreling down the creek goes. Now, it couldn't have rolled down the hill because this is too shallow of a slope. But that I don't know how it could possibly. It would have gotten stuck in all the boulders or stuff. Maybe it was a really large truck with big wheels. But I want to show you the sycamore for now, and I'll continue shortly, just out of pure curiosity. So here you can see the bark. Get patient, go. So you can see the dog for scale. It's a very large tree. It is probably 9-10 feet in circumference, probably 10 feet in circumference at the base. I have never seen a bigger sycamore than this. There are almost no others like this. I've never ever seen any sycamore close to this age. I'll go up to the bark. You can see the bark is very rough when you compare it to most sycamores. Most often you see them with smooth, pale bark, peeling with this pale olive green scales and sometimes a bit of pink scales in them. But this is absolutely grand. Well, and now at this time of year, it is the car crash scar's first winter, and now the signs of a car crashing through here are being obscured by flood, because all of this stuff it is now doing it. The same is happening because it is being swept. The stems and stuff. But I'll try to find a view of the old sycamore. So you can see the root base is quite buttressed. You know, all these roots you can see all the roots right there from the sycamore exposed. I don't know where this came from, this massive log, but the car or vehicle certainly drove over it kind of halfway, or I don't know how. I'm not even joking. But you can see it's very tall because of the light suppression, I guess. It was growing among this bay laurel forest, and it has some nice movement towards the top. Now the top of this is actually visible. There's where the old plum tree is at on the side of the road before you enter the creek by road. And the top is 100 or so feet high above me, above the creek. Absolutely huge, and I will do another video about sycamores maybe in spring when I have separated my two sycamores into a container for themselves. There's also some ferns right here, there's epiphytes growing right at the tip of my finger. Epiphytal ferns. So there's another tire right there. How did this happen? There's another sycamore right here. I can see the fallout. There's another dense area of sycamore fallout. There's also a sycamore here. It's also quite old. It has some rough bark on it. There's a tree house up there. I very well assume that the car or vehicle, it stopped somewhere over there. And then it was like, I don't know, towed out of the creek, and I have no idea how the heck they did that. Maybe the reason why it's so scuffed over there is because that's where they towed it. I have no idea. I know it definitely happened in mid-September because I remember walking there on one day with the dog, and then a few days later I went up there. Baser, come here. Another day, and there was a big scuff mark on the hillside, and it continued on like to there. This is. Oh, I thought this was it is a sycamore, but it's dead. This is a dead sycamore, but it still has some nice characteristics of the buttress roots of platanus racemosa. Here's an ancient bay laurel tree. It hasn't fallen over yet, but I see someday it might do. Look at the bark. Look at that bark. That is rough for a bay laurel. I almost thought I thought it was a valley oak at first, but then I saw the foliage. It's evergreen, but that is an old bay laurel growing in the backyard of this house, which apparently I might be in, but I keep my face oh, sorry. I make sure I'm well visible. I don't look very secret, and yeah, but yeah, very large trees that are hiding in plain sight. There's another sycamore here, but it's nowhere as grand as the other one over there. So I think I will end the video here. This is a modest time to end the video, and I think I've done very well at doing that. So yeah, that is all for today. This is the Watch Poplars, and I'll see you next time.